What is up, XP Church? Pastor Susie here. Wanted to give you guys an update on the miracle we saw last week with the LAN Center. And so if you haven't caught up, go back to our YouTube channel, check out last week's message about the LAN Center. It'll tell you about what's going on, what it means for the future of our church, and Pastor Influence's involvement as he's been offered to be able to be the manager of the LAN Center. Absolutely incredible. Go check that out. Let me give you guys an update on some of our next steps. First and foremost, thank you for every single one of you that practice generosity to help Pastor Influence in his personal stream ministry to be able to hit their goal, to be able to take that LAN Center job and be able to move to Oregon and begin the process. If you hadn't heard the news, yes, he did hit the goal, and their family is now in the process of getting everything that they need to actually move to the Salem, Oregon area where my wife and I are, and of course where the LAN Center is going to be. But I want to give clarity on next steps and provide clarity on what it means that he hit the goal and what it doesn't mean that he hit the goal. First and foremost, I had talked about last week that if Pastor Influence doesn't hit the goal and cannot take this LAN Center job, not only is it a huge opportunity missed for our church to partner in this way, but it wouldn't even make approaching the LAN Center possible at all. We wouldn't have the manpower that we need here. We wouldn't be able to have someone to be able to oversee this weekly event. We wouldn't even be able to explore the LAN Center at all. But just because Pastor Influence got this job does not mean the process is completed just yet, and I want to give clarity. So in layman's terms, if he hadn't taken that job, if he wasn't able to take it, we wouldn't be able to explore the LAN Center at all. But now that he has, it doesn't mean the process is completed. It just means we can actually begin the process of taking next steps to making the dream of the LAN Center a reality. So what are the two things that we need to do as a next step to actually utilize this? First and foremost, spending some time locally, building local reinforcements and a launch team. Pastor Man and I moved to Oregon back in April. It's been about 6 months now, and it's going to take some time, of course, to build local relationships. Running an online weekly church service is significantly less complex than running an actual weekly event where people are showing up and their sound systems. There's a lot that goes into that. Although we do plan on maintaining an online service for an online church, anytime you're doing something in person, it just is much more complex. So we're looking to have obviously Pastor Influence and his family here. That's a great start, but we will need some volunteer support. So that'll mean spending a few months being able to build relationships and meet people that are actually in the Salem, Oregon area. Maybe there'll be people in our online church who feel led by God to maybe relocate to the area. That'll obviously be between them and God. But step number one is building up a local team, which is going to take some time. Remember, the LAN Center is actually not even available to be used by us until earliest March and then open to the public in June. So we have some time to work on this, but I will be honest, it may take some more time than that. Building relationships, building up a volunteer base, especially if we're reaching people who aren't even Christian, and then them getting saved and then getting involved, it takes some time, and we're not going to rush the process to begin using it before we're even ready. So first is getting some manpower in person, have a local team. Second is a financial aspect. I touched on it last week, but I want to give more clarity here that we will actually be required to provide a financial assistance, like a rent, to be able to use this space. Now, please hear me. Satellite Gaming is being incredibly generous. First of all, offering Pastor Influence the job is still blowing my mind. We're working through some numbers, no details provided just yet, but I promise you, they are not trying to profit off of our church, but like anything in the world, it does take money to keep the lights on, and they're working to give us a really great rate, which they have been such a blessing to do. And some of you might be thinking, oh yeah, of course, that makes sense. It's rent. Dude, we could throw up a fundraiser right now and raise the money that we need. And I would be honest, I'm with you. I am actually confident, especially with the numbers I know we're talking through right now that are very generous. We could throw up a fundraiser goal and probably hit it before the day is over. However, we have to make sure that we're being wise about this. A younger version of me, some of you knew that younger version of me, would have been excited and wanted to move fast. But we have to be wise, and we have to make sure that we can take care of what we already have before we begin to expand into something new. And to give some context, some of you guys might not be aware, especially if you're new, but a year and a half ago, our church was in a really difficult financial spot. And I had the privilege of being invited back to be our lead pastor, which I'm so thankful for. And immediately we had to make some changes. The church was dangerously close to having to, really, if I'll be honest, shut down altogether. And we had to make some major changes, moving all full-time staff to part-time staff, taking salary cuts, cutting everything financial that we could, even unfortunately having to let go of some staff altogether. in order to make an attempt to stabilize the church. And we have done everything in our power to do that for the past year and a half. And we have really made some great strides to reduce the cutting, make sure like we've cut everything that isn't absolutely necessary to like literally keep the church alive. But on our end, we can control our spending, but we can't always control what comes in because as a nonprofit organization, we are 100% donation based. And in the past year and a half, we've made little progress. And so what we have to be wise here is, especially from a financial aspect, we can't be in such a hurry to jump into a new exciting opportunity if we are barely even able to stabilize what we have right now. The LAN center is going to be available for us to use, but we can't jump at that and put anything that we already have in jeopardy. We have to focus on the foundation first and then build on top of that. We can't focus on expanding into something new before we can navigate what we already have. And that is a major focus. Now, granted, a lot can change between now and March, to God be the glory, but we can't move forward until we make sure the things are healthy, the things are stable. And I know that you might be thinking, well, we could throw up a fundraiser, and you would be right. But oftentimes in our experience, what we've seen is people get excited, they're looking to be generous, and they will give towards a really cool fundraiser like the LAN Center, and they will take that out of their regular giving because, of course, you can only give so much. And so we may have gone up a certain number here for the LAN Center, but then have gone down in the regular giving. And before you know it, now we have a LAN Center, and then now we need to let go of some of our pastoral staff. Wouldn't be a good strategy, wouldn't be wise. And so what we need to focus on now is making sure that we have a healthy financial state for our church, a healthy foundation, and then we can build on top of that. And so here's the deal. If you are a part of our church family, what we need more than just hitting these cool one-time goals is we need more month-to-month financial sustainability and health from our church. So here's the deal. Some of you watching right now, you are already practicing generosity towards our church and obeying God's command to give generally towards his kingdom. Thank you. You are a cornerstone of what has made XP Church possible, not only all these years, but in this difficult season. But if you are here, I want to invite you. If you're a part of our church family, if you consider this place to be home and it spiritually feeds you and your spouse and your family, I want to encourage you to take that next step in your life, to obey God's command, to practice financial generosity towards his kingdom, to be able to see the mission of God fulfilled on the earth and in our church. And if we can get more financial sustainability in our church, to be able to actually stand on a strong foundation to take care of the church we already have before we expand into a LAN center, that's when we'll be able to step into the next season. And God can do a lot. That could all be resolved between now and March, but we're going to play it by ear. We're going to take it slow. We're not in a hurry to build something new before we can take care of what we already have. So again, recapping, Pastor Influence got the job, which means we can even explore the LAN Center at all, because without it, it wouldn't have been possible. Number 2, building a local team, which is going to take some time. And then number 3, sustaining the finances of the church. And then from there, then we can do some sort of fundraiser to be able to raise the funds. Maybe it'll look something like a Waymaker Week, or if the funds of the church increase so much on a regular basis, we could even just be able to cover the rent and location just from that. But until we're there, the LAN Center is going to be available. We just need to make sure that we are ready to use it. So friends, thank you so much for being a part of our church, being a part of this journey. I believe there's a miracle around the corner, but it is going to take all of us, and I mean all of us, to contribute, to take a step of faith, to pray, and to let God use our lives, our time, our talent, and our treasure to give towards his kingdom, because it takes a family effort to make a family dream come true. And if we will do that, then I believe we have not even scratched the surface of seeing the miraculous power of what God wants to do in our church to reach the gaming community for the glory of God. Church, we love you. Thank you for being part of the journey. And I want to tell you, I really believe the best is yet to come.